dog okay?
Yeah, it was actually not that bad.
Okay.
I could hear most of it, so
Most
that's
of it.
better
You
than
know what?
not hearing
Fine.
any of
We're
it.
doing our best.
Yes, for
That's
sure.
what matters.
I'm Shivani,
I'm Miranda.
and we are Far From Normal. I think this is episode 38, I think.
That was 7. Oh,
I
well.
think the last one was 37. But
Guys, we're
no, this
so
is
good at
38.
keeping track of this.
Yes.
So good at
Yeah.
it.
Oh, for sure, for
You're
sure.
right, 38. Yeah, my
38.
bad.
I'm always right. Just kidding. But I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Are you?
Mhm. Moving along. Moving along. So we basically just got out of a month with a heavy theme. We were focusing on like women's history. So this is the first day, or well, not really. It's the second day that we're kind of moving out of a
Yeah.
theme. So we have something random for this
Although
episode.
I did
A little.
realize that this month is Sexual Awareness Month.
Mm,
So we do have a few episodes about stuff like that if people want to check it out.
yeah, for sure.
Because
For
that's
sure.
important. And I really want people to, be able to have a voice and to realize that that's important. So, sorry, you were saying we're going to a random topic, right?
This is a little bit of a random topic. I mean, this was your idea, so I figured you might want to explain it.
Oh, I can. That's fine, I guess. So in my philosophy class, we've been talking about animals, and animals having rights and stuff like that. I'm actually in 2 ethics classes, and we're talking about it in 2 ethics classes. So I've seen about 4 different videos this week. Like those gross videos of like factory farming. It's
Mhm.
bad.
Yeah.
And then I brought it up in conversation with a lot of friends and family. Um, it's it's so hard. It's so hard for me because
In what way?
it's what
In what way?
the ethical stuff. Like
Mm,
it's really hard to watch animals be in pain and to realize that maybe it's not ethical to eat animals, but I also really love meat. Oh God.
yeah. You're not alone in that. Like that's completely understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um so did you want to get into like the ethical side of this? Like
We can, sure.
yeah. All right. All right. Let's get
Let's dive straight into what the ethics of killing animals.
right.
Yes.
I don't know if I've mentioned this in any other episode, but I am vegetarian, and so I think that might influence what I say about it. But yes, I do believe animals have rights, and I do think it's awful what happens to them. I mean, I don't judge anybody who eats meat because I did eat meat at some point in my life, and becoming vegetarian it's fairly recent for me. I went vegetarian. I want to say like junior year of high school, sophomore, junior year of
Yeah.
high school. So that might
Yeah.
have been like 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. But yeah, it's really funny because like I think it was so random when it happened. I remember
Okay.
I was having a discussion with one of our friends at lunch, and we were talking about like whether like animals were put on earth for like us to eat, to use, and to like, just use to for whatever we needed. And something in me was just like, no, that's not right. And as we were having this like discussion, I was like stuffing chicken nuggets in my mouth, and I was like realizing how hypocritical I was being. So like right at that moment, I decided I'm just not going to eat any meat anymore. And it just
That's
stuck.
awesome.
It just stuck, which is so weird because like you never like I feel like it's really rare for like someone to like transition from like a non-vegetarian to a vegetarian just like that. But like it honestly was really easy for me. Like I don't know. It's just like in my mind I was like, all right, this is it. I'm not gonna do it anymore, and I just stopped.
You never like crave a hamburger?
No, no. I said no to everything. Like after that day, I never touched like
Yeah.
I never touched meat again.
Nice.
If I did, I was on accident. But
Yeah.
yeah.
My philosophy teacher told me that he tried to go vegetarian. I've had a lot of cousins and friends try to go vegetarian,
Hmm.
and then they like smell bacon, and they're like, "Well, I'm
Yeah.
done." Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
cool.
No. Yeah. And there's like the more I've like researched this type of thing, like the more it just makes sense for me to go like vegetarian. And I feel like I just feel better. Like,
Yeah,
and not even for like religious reasons, but like I just feel better not eating meat. And like I feel better like like health wise, and also just
Okay.
like maybe even like values wise, because I feel
Right.
like I'm staying true to like what I
Yeah.
believe in and also like acting on it, because like sometimes there's like some cognitive like dissonance, like you say
Mhm.
something and then you do the opposite. So
Yeah.
like I feel like I'm
Mhm.
staying true to myself in that way, which can come off a little like cocky and whatnot, but
I feel like you're
um
calling me out because I said it was
no.
unethical, but I'm still eating meat.
Oh no, it's totally fine. Like I was up until that moment, I was being super hypocritical because I was like, oh, animals have rights and like, we need to treat animals like well and we need to like they should not be treated that way. And up until that point, I was in the exact same position as you were. And it's hard for a lot of people to switch because yeah, meat gives you like really easy protein and like can actually might be needed for some people for health reasons. And that's why like I don't judge people who by choice aren't vegetarian because there might be a good reason why they're eating meat, or I mean also it does taste good, I understand that, and it's so like built into like our system and our society to
Mhm.
have meat.
Yep.
It would be really hard to like take away that
Right.
and to completely just get rid of it all because so many of us are grew up on meat. And but yeah, I don't know. I've done some research on it, just like within like religions and also just in the way it affects your body. And I think just for me, it just makes sense not to eat meat anymore. And if I do choose to switch back eventually, maybe just, I don't know. I could see myself switching eventually just to, I don't know, try foods that I've never tried before. But
Mhm.
I think I'm okay where I am right now. But yeah.
Yeah, didn't you say like maybe if you go to Japan, you'll be pescatarian so you can.
Yeah, I was like, I really like sushi, and like that's one thing I really miss. So like if I go to Japan, maybe I'll just like temporarily go pescatarian.
Mhm.
And I think I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Um I read something, this is really random, but I read something in like Hindu, and I don't know if it was in the like Bhagavad Gita that they wrote about this, but basically they say that fish is like the furthest animal in like the food chain or something like that, that you can like it to eat that would be like the least amount of suffering that you would cause because like fish are like so low on like the food chain or something like that. I might be like talking about this wrong, but like it's better to eat fish than eat like a cow, like which is very like sacred in like the Hindu
Okay.
religion. Um,
Wait, so
but
why are fish less important?
I don't exactly know. It was like I read this article like a long, long time ago, but I think it's just because it's like so. I don't I don't know. I actually don't know, but that's a really good. Do you okay? Let's segue into like a different topic. Do you think there are some animals that are like more worthy or less worthy than other
Yeah.
animals?
We've been talking about this in our philosophy class.
Hmm.
A lot of people in my class think that animals are like intelligent, emotionally intelligent, or just intelligent in general, um, have more rights.
Hmm.
But personally, well, I don't know how the scientists are studying intelligence. But personally, I think there's a lot of different aspects of intelligence, and there's probably aspects that they aren't studying because those aren't like typical aspects, like if you can't, I don't know, spell, you're not as smart, but like there's other types of intelligence. But again, I don't know how they're testing it. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. And also like there's human beings that are less stereotypically intelligent who deserve rights. So why would animals who are less intelligent not deserve rights? Thoughts?
I mean, if we like look at it from like a purely like scientific biological standpoint, like there's no doubt that humans like are, you know, built and wired differently than
Mhm.
animals, and like we are very intelligent and we have the ability to think about the future, whereas animals, they don't really think about the future.
That's
They're
true.
like it's about them, surviving, and they do what they can to survive
Yeah.
and adapt to their surroundings. So there's a difference and from that standpoint. But then it like comes down to like, I don't know, like do you treat animals in the same way? And I I don't really have an answer for that. I mean, obviously, I'm a little more biased toward like giving animals rights because I think I do believe that like they have souls and they're
Okay.
living creatures, and I think they're here on Earth not just for us. I think it's for Earth to function properly, and I don't know, but I definitely don't think it's just for us.
Yeah.
I think at some point it did aid us in like evolving in like the Stone Ages, but
Mhm.
I think we've evolved to a point where we don't need them in that sense anymore.
Mm.
And it would be helpful to work with animals rather than against them, because like
Mm.
working with them also helps the earth and also helps keep it healthy and stuff like that. We've been destroying nature for how many years, and we've basically just caused our own downfall. With climate change and stuff like that. And so I don't know. That's kind of my thinking on it. But yeah, what about you?
Do you, oh, that I wasn't gonna answer your question, but do you think that we have enough like resources for everyone to go vegetarian? That was a random question, but you talked about climate change and global warming and stuff, and I was like, do we have enough resources for everyone
I
to
think
go?
we do. I think we do. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I think that I'd need to do a little more research on this because I obviously like haven't done enough research on this,
Mhm.
but like I think it's possible. I think it's definitely possible. Like we haven't destroyed Earth so much that we can't reverse our damage. Like I think if we all worked on it together, we could definitely like make it so that we'd have enough for everyone.
Okay.
And I think there is enough for everyone. I think it's just a lot of people are making excuses because, capitalism and
Yeah.
profits and stuff like that. So, like, I definitely think there's a lot of factors that play into it.
Mhm.
I definitely think it's possible. But yeah. You? What do you
We
think?
talked about in my philosophy class, if I can find my notes, we talked about a like capitalist question about it because like I think it was like the League of Others or something like that, where
Mhm.
like if everyone does the thing for themselves, all the resources are depleted. Like
Yeah,
the
that makes
like
sense.
I think the
But
example was like a fish pond where like if everyone tries to get the most fish, there's no fish, you know?
right. Yeah,
And
but
then
then
it,
you're still thinking about it from like a capitalist perspective and an
yeah,
individualist perspective. Like if we worked together and we shared and all got like,
yeah,
even proportions and we weren't super greedy, then I think it'd be able to work. I think it's just
right.
people are greedy and like,
Yeah,
they take
no,
more than they need.
I was agreeing with you.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I was just yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, my
Um
computer's dying. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Am I brighter now?
um not really.
Okay.
Um, what what was I gonna ask you? I think I asked you like, what do you think um
About,
about I guess yeah. Do you think animals have souls?
I think so. I haven't really evaluated that question as much as I've evaluated if they have rights, which
So
is
like
weird
you
because you
have a
got
pet
the
dog,
rights
right?
by thinking that they have souls. But
Mhm.
I more think like nothing, like nothing has a, everything has a right to not be in pain, right? So like to whatever extent, to the greatest extent that we can, we should ethically try to sustain from putting animals in pain regardless of if they have souls. Because we
Okay.
don't know for sure if they have souls. So we should just assume that there's a possibility and not put them in pain. That makes sense?
Right. I mean, you have a pet dog, and so like you have a relationship with your dog. You love your dog. I met your dog, love her. I
Mhm.
mean, do you think she has a soul? Do you think she has feelings, emotions, and
I,
stuff like that?
I probably like when yeah, I don't know, like, because when I think about like animals having a soul, then I have to think about like what animals would look like in heaven. I want to say probably, and like I know she has emotions and feelings and stuff, so I would say yes.
Okay. Does that influence like your ethical thinking about like animal rights?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like any animal that feels pain or has like some sort of emotion doesn't deserve to be in pain.
Hmm.
So,
Got
yes.
it. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. Um,
Okay.
um, I don't know, the way I've like conceptualized it, at least like kind of like tying it back to like me being like vegetarian, is that like when I eat meat, I'm eating their suffering. Like if we think about like what you were talking about, like just like the factories and like how they died, they were in pain when they died. Like,
Yeah.
and so like me eating the meat of them in their flesh or whatever. What I don't know how to say it like without being
Right.
like grotesque, but like yeah, like they were in pain. They did not want to be there. Like they don't have any way of like consenting to like dying or anything like that. But like in that sense, it's just like I'm causing harm to myself because I'm like putting their pain into my body. And I feel
Ooh.
like
Okay. Okay,
I don't know.
Shivani.
I
That's a
don't know,
concept.
but like, yeah, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people talk about like just like you're eating suffering, like when they talk about like being vegetarian or like vegan or something. I'm not vegan, but I've thought about it. But it's just like I love dairy so much, and I love ice cream and cheese. Maybe I could see in the future I could maybe do that, but also like I don't have like the money, and also I live with a family who doesn't eat, is I'm the only vegetarian in my family, so like
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to like balance that out with like what everyone else eats. So
Yeah.
I had to be a little what's the word, conscious of my family as well.
Conscientious.
Yes, that word. Yeah. um but where was I going with this? I don't know, but that I just wanted to add that part in there.
You're putting pain in your body.
Yeah, yeah. And so like I guess like kind of going off of that, it's just like it makes I would think that animals have souls. And also like thinking about pets. Like I have three cats, and like I like they are very intelligent, and like I know they have emotions, like, and
Mhm.
they show affection in different ways, and to like I don't know, view them in a way as like food or something that I can use, it just doesn't make sense to me because they're their like own individual, not
Yes.
person, but like own individual like
Yes.
being. And so it
That
just
leads me
yeah.
into the another philosophy discussion we had about
Mhm.
speciesism.
Mhm.
So like we as human beings like think we're superior to other animals, right?
Right.
So like there's us, and then like in American culture there's like dogs and cats.
Mhm.
Um but like in other cultures, like dogs and cats mean nothing, right?
Yeah.
So like we have a bias for dogs and cats, which is why we don't kill them.
Mhm.
But I don't know, like a pig, it could easily be a pig that lives with us. So like there's like speciesism, like we're like discriminating against animals.
Yeah.
Thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't that kind of like tie into like intelligence too? Because like dogs and cats, I think are a little more intelligent than like say a pig, or like I don't know. I don't know the science behind
Are
that,
they?
but like, are they? I don't know. Maybe they don't. Because like I know people have like pet fish and they get really attached to them, and they also like they do have. I've seen some fish with like some emotional intelligence too, and like just like they have intelligence. So like that's a good point.
Everything just has its own intelligence. It's just doing what it can to survive and where it is.
Right. I mean, like, there also is like the question of like evolution. Like, have they evolved to like fit a
Which is why
world?
people say that humans are better than everything, because we're the evolved.
I mean, but do you think animals have evolved too? Like, do you think they have like evolved into like having like more like
Oh, of
connecting with
course.
humans and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So, like, maybe our concept of like no, like, our concept of like animals being less than us is outdated. Maybe like in the like maybe okay, okay, here's a theory. Like maybe in the Bible, we weren't evolved so much. So like we weren't evolved enough
We don't
to
evolve in
think
the
of
Bible at all.
I know, that's my point. That's my point. So like
Okay.
that's my point. What I so like maybe when like, the Bible came about, we weren't evolved enough uh to I don't know, have a relationship with animals. Like we needed animals to survive and to like evolve into like better human beings. And now that we're at this,
I'm confused. When the Bible came out?
not that came out, like when it was like, when it was written.
Okay. So like when Christianity.
Yeah, when it all started and when, they wrote down everything that, came. Yeah, I don't even have words. I'm sorry. Okay. You know what I'm talking about though, right?
Kind of.
When it was written, I think they were interpreting it from that their context and their like
Yes.
their life at that specific point in time. There's a word for this.
Perception.
Eisegesis. I think it might be eisegesis. I learned about this in history or something like that. There's like different interpretations of the Bible. One of them is you interpret the Bible from the context that it was written in, and the other one being you apply it to your situations at the moment. Well, yeah, for sure. So
we
it's
have
like
an episode on that because that'd be a fun just talking about thoughts on that. Anyway, continue.
So like from that perspective, maybe like the people who argue that animals were put on earth for us were looking at it from the perspective of like when the Bible was written, but they haven't taken into consideration that we might have evolved and that things have changed. And so maybe animals have evolved. And so it makes more like we've evolved to the point where we don't need to survive off of animals.
There's a lot of like, I think that's probably part of the issue is the fact that like there's a lot of people who like read the Bible and think that nothing should change. Like the rules that were, I don't know, some of the rules that were necessary aren't as necessary now. Like the Bible said things about like having slavery, but like obviously it was written for the time and it was written by people of the time. And so some things you need to take a step, like read it, take a step back, look at it in your context and realize that it changes a little bit.
Yeah.
That is my hot take for today. Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that's like kind of like the issue, like just in general these days. Like some people are just so attached to like the traditional way of doing things.
Yeah.
And they just can't get out of their own like head really. They can't expand like what they've learned and what they've been conditioned to do. And I think that ties a lot to like a lot of like social issues and now and like how many problems people have with like boomers and like stuff like that. It's just because they're
boomers.
Yeah, because you know how like there's like so many like millennials and like Gen Zs and be like, oh, those are like like the jokes with like boomers and stuff like that. Yeah, so like I think they're just like so attached to the way of like how they learn things and like and it's just it kind of like parallels and stuff like that.
I feel like that happens in every generation. The like 50 and above usually is very set in their ways. But not always, obviously.
I mean, like we had an episode earlier about you being worried that you wouldn't be as like accepting towards your kids, which I mean, I think the fact that you're thinking about that is like almost like an evolution in a sense because you're thinking about that and you're being more like accepting and open and like you want to be different. Like that's something that our parents never even thought to think about or like we're like they were always so focused on surviving and making it in the world, which is something that we don't necessarily have to deal with.
Worry about as much.
So like evolution, I don't know, evolution, a step into a new world. I don't know, a new age.
It's really interesting to think about like evolution in humans. Like, are we ever going to like evolve more? Ooh, sorry, that was quite loud.
No, you're totally good. I mean, I definitely think so. I mean, obviously, like I read a lot about stuff in like the spiritual community and they're always talking about like, the Great Awakening and Aquarius, the new age or something like that. And they're always talking about like expanding our consciousness and evolving and being more than we are now. And I definitely think we're stepping in that direction. I mean,
like
you see all that.
Expansion?
Emotional, physical, spiritual, mind, mental, like body. I think I think we haven't even touched the surface on like what we're capable of doing. I think there's so much more, and we're just like we're barely scratching the surface right now.
What kind
And
of physical? I'm curious.
physical, I mean, I like physical. Mm, I think this would honestly like tie to like spiritual things too, because like I think how like sometimes there's people that talk about like let's talk about like empathy and stuff like that, like how like you can feel different people's like emotions, or like you step into a room and you feel vibes. i
Yeah.
think I think that can be practiced. I think you can like I think that can be like habits, like a habit, or like you can train yourself to like
Mhm.
feel different emotions and things. So I think you could tie that to like a physical aspect of yourself, meaning that like you can feel like the energy of a room, you can feel
Oh,
what
okay.
the other person is feeling, and maybe like telepathy could be a thing in our future.
Oh my
Like
God, that'd be
I
cool.
like I mean like it's not actually that far from like what we've experienced now. Like if you think about it, like how many times have you had the same thought as like the person standing next to you, like someone that's really close to you? Like just like take that a little step further and you have like telepathy. I mean, that is like a basic form of like telepathy. You think the same thing, you stare at each other and you like know exactly what you're thinking. And like isn't like you're just like you're syncing up. Like honestly, like I'm really excited about our future. Like I think like a couple generations from now we'll be so different and so maybe loving and like accepting. I mean, we're in that like process right now. We're addressing all these social issues, and as like murky and awful as it seems right now, I think we're definitely working through some issues and stuff like that, and things that need to be talked about. Sorry, I
Yeah,
ranted like and talked so much.
you're
But
fine.
yeah, thoughts.
Um, lots of thoughts. One of them is going to be me being a whole pessimist, a whole
Okay.
pessimist.
Okay.
Do you think there will be a time where there's no forms of discrimination?
I think so. I mean, it might not happen in our lifetime, but I definitely think we're on a path that's going to lead there eventually.
Even like
But
subconscious discrimination?
that's all been like conditioned into us. I mean, think about like a baby. A baby doesn't come into the world with bias or discrimination. They aren't born to be like, oh, that person is a different color. Like, no. Like
Yeah.
just like they don't you learn that stuff from like your society, the society that you're born into, the parents that you have, the people that surround you, the environment. So like if we change our environment and we like evolve as a collective together, I think that's definitely a potential future for us.
Interesting. I feel like I don't know. I feel like subconscious biases like are going to be passed down automatically. And I mean, like obviously you can control them with your conscious,
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like I don't know. Like my mom does have subconscious biases, and like I have some, and obviously I'm working on them. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's never gonna go away completely, even if there are like it gets a lot better, and conscious biases are like good, but like I don't know. There's always gonna be like a mistake people make or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't sound as good as what you said, but it makes sense in my head.
No, no, I totally understand where you're coming from. And yeah, honestly, I think it's just going to take time. Like I think there might be okay, they talk about this a lot in like the spiritual community. They talk about like there being a split. So there's going to be like a big part of the population that is going to be on like the higher path, meaning that like we're going to be living in love, we're going to be living in light and unity, and like bias and like all that sort of thing won't be a part of like their experience. And
Oh,
then the other part of the population is going to continue staying in this environment and staying in this bias and discrimination and prejudice sort of experience, and that's all they perceive. So I honestly think it's like kind of like where you're born into your environment and also like your perception of things. And I do agree that like maybe like some of this like bias and perception can be passed down, but I also think that can be healed.
yeah.
Like I don't
Okay.
think it's the end of the world if
Yeah.
you do have like bias and stuff. Like I
Yeah.
think there's a way to heal and to get past that too. And we're also working on that now too. Like,
Yeah.
and like if we work on it now, it's, we're setting up a brighter future for the next generations. So like, I don't know.
That reminds me of like it's so interesting like what things from like spiritual community and different religions all like tie together. Because that reminds me of like the second coming. I don't know if you know the second coming story, like of Jesus and
Maybe you can
yeah,
explain
like the
stuff.
second coming is like all the people in heaven are happy, and then all the people
Hmm.
who like chose to be selfish and prideful and stuff in
Hmm.
hell are
Yeah.
rip. But
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, they call themselves like the spiritual community, but it's honestly like the spiritual community or whatever they call themselves. It's all like ideas that people take from like different religions and
mhm,
like through different cultures and just take whatever resonates and like put them in like
yeah.
a huge bowl. And like
Mhm,
you just do whatever you want with it, which I really like, which is why I think I'm like so like attracted to that sort of thing because like I can pick and choose what I like and I can do whatever I want and whatever feels good for me and is good for everyone else.
mhm.
Which is really cool because yeah,
Yeah,
you don't need to like argue about who's right or who's wrong because it always depends on the person and always like
yeah,
what works for you might not work for me
right.
or whatever works for me might not work for you. So
Yeah,
do
that's
what you
like one of the more important parts of faith. Like, even
yeah.
if you're wrong, if it's helping you, you know what? Go for it.
Exactly, it's great. We are out of time.
I figured. That's why I stopped talking.
But yeah, do you have any final closing thoughts?
Um,
Uh, um,
how far from normal is the soul of a bumblebee?
you know, that's bumblebees, Those are those are
I
great.
just came up with a random animal and I chose a bumblebee. I'm
Hmm.
bringing home a baby bumblebee.
That's a good point though, like bugs versus like mammals. Anyway, I don't know, do bugs have rights? I
Have what? I mean,
mean, we all just like, kill a bug without thinking
I
about it.
kind of think so, which is hard.
I
But
mean,
I
I
do
think
kind of
we're
think so.
oof.
Um, like when I was a kid, I like was the kid who like would put the bugs back in the grass and like I try
Aww.
not to kill any bugs. I do kill mosquitoes
Hmm.
just because I don't, yeah, the bites a little much,
But
but I don't know. And maybe it's just part of my religion. Like I feel like God made these animals. We should not be assholes to them too.
mhm.
Um and like the poor little like ladybug is just trying to survive.
Yeah.
She's just trying to make it in a cruel world.
Yeah.
So,
Oof, that's gonna take some more thinking. But um yeah. Anyway, we're at the end of our episode, so I might as well wrap it up with our usual thing. So thank you guys for listening. If you guys want to reach out to us, you can email us at farfromnormalpodcast2020@gmail.com. We have an Instagram at farfromnormalpodcast and a Google survey in our Instagram, so you can also
mm,
leave some suggestions, comments, feedbacks, or future episode topic ideas or whatever you like. And yeah, give us a follow. We're super active on Instagram. You can like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And we will see you next week with a new fun topic.
we love you guys.
We love you. Bye.